Hello, my name's Stephen from K-Scale Models, and today I'm doing a video on detailing models. So, I was asked about 2 years ago how I detail models by someone. I never felt I gave them the really a good answer, so I've always wanted to come back to and try to explain it better. So, they were designing a ship, so this is why I brought the Laurasia out. It wasn't the ship they were working on, they were working on something completely different. But Laurasia does a good demonstration for this. So, yeah, they were designing a ship. It was from another Gundam series, so I basically told them start at one corner, work to the other. But whilst that's true, and I did do that in this case, it doesn't quite explain everything. So, let's just go over it. So, as I said, what I would do is if I had a ship like this, it was coming from a series, I would start one side of it and work to the other, just finding all the details and adding them in. Thing is, as I said, that's not really great saying that, give a bit more detail on it. So that's where this comes in. This is my reference folder. So this goes through all the different times that I find a ship in the series. I've just taken screenshots of it, I've cut bits off. So yeah. Now the problem with this is that when they are drawing these ships, they are, especially in this case, this is all hand drawn over a CGI model, I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what my thoughts are from looking at these models for for this long. Now I'm going to use this as an example here. So you see down here, that is the detail that they've given for the hangar module. This is the hangar module up close and personal. So you see here, that is much more detailed. And where did this part come from? And oh, what's this? Yeah, that is a problem when you're looking at detailing models. Is it's not always consistent the detail that you get. So you have to go in and pick and choose what you want. So this has left me with a bit of a problem on this particular model. There is a few more bits of detail I need to add to the top here, but compared to that and this part here, this sort of spine area, there's very little detail. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go in and either find more shots of up close parts of this ship, or I have to go in and add my own detail to try to balance this out. And that's an important thing, balance. Because this, whilst that engine pod looks great, the rest of this doesn't. And it looked fine before I started to detail that up. But when I detailed that up, this kind of all looked bland, so I need to go back in and detail that. So this leads me on to the second part. This is where I'm going through the sort of, if you're designing your own models, where to add detail. Now, I'm not much for greebling. I don't like the term greebling because that implies just sticking random bits and bobs on your vehicle. It can work, but, well, vehicles should have enough interesting details on them in the first place that you don't have to do that. So let me just go over two examples here. So this was my first attempt. This is called the Archer. Now, for both these vehicles, I made a criteria for them. I basically said these things are to fight on a colony, and therefore they need to have excellent gun elevation or being able to hit targets above them. So there's a couple of things with this that I've kind of done wrong. That scope's far too high for that. That'll collide with that within only a couple of degrees, so it won't actually be able to aim straight up. I did that because I needed to put the machine gun there, so I really needed to just widen this and put the machine gun somewhere else. But yeah, let's just go over some of the other details that I've added to this. So I've added on little bits here. Now this would be so that someone could come along, unbolt this and take the wheel off. Because, yeah, the wheels get punctured, you have to take them off. I've added on these, which I intended to be sort of explosive reactive armor. Now, this is, to be honest, greebling. This is just pure, I'm adding this on because it looks cool. Normal ERH is basically just blocks. It's big slabs of metal, and they tend to actually fit on better than these hexagons. But they look quite nice, and people have described this from anti-Jedi armor all the way to some sort of camouflage system. So in that respect, they work quite well because it lets the person that's making this model have their own thoughts about what this stuff is. But there's other things that I've added to it, such as a hatch. We've got lights. We've got some way for the crew to get out the rear. We've got, that's a convoy marker. Basically, if you can see certain lights, you know you're too close. If you can see others, you know you're too far if you're trailing behind the vehicle. We've got blowout panels. So yeah, there's a lot of little details in this. But to be honest, I want to do another version of this with some better detailing because I think I could have done a better job. But first attempt, and I do like this model when I've like printed it out and made it. The next one I'm going to be using is the buggy. Now I think this one came out better and also demonstrates better where you can add details. So again, I would just go from one side to the other adding details. But let's just go through some of the details here. So we've got a hatch, we've got a little viewport on that hatch. We've got a sensor up top. This actually has two different types of sensors. Where was it? So we've got radar. So what was this? This was the sensor. So yeah, you can have different sensors on there. We've got smoke launchers because one of the important things if you're taking fire is to throw smoke in the enemy's face so that they can't see you and therefore can't hit you. We've got a little bar here that's welded on just to stop the hatch clattering this light down here. We've got lifting points all over the place, and you can see that there's a lot of little panels or little grooves here. Now, my philosophy for this was, okay, I'm building this, how do I take this thing apart? I've got to do maintenance on it. So I had the panels bolted onto what looks like to be an internal frame, and I did it in such a way that you could do stuff like remove the housing around the motor so you could maintain the motor without disassembling the whole thing. I've got a big panel line in the middle here, and that is so that if you're needing to do work on the interior, you can unbolt this section and just pull the whole thing off. We've got a hatch here so you can get into the engine. This whole top section is bolted on, and you can see there's little panels here. That would be something like what a mechanic would go in and wire these missiles on. So they'd pop the missile pods on and they'd open up this hatch and connect the wires. We've got a little port here, and there's little groups around here. So my thought around here was this is where you fuel the thing. So to like attach all the fueling system behind it, you bolt it in from this side, or you've got attachment points here, and then yeah, you got the hatch there, and you can see little bolts and all that all around this thing. And that is what I went and did for the detailing. These little holes, that would be representing countersunk, well, like yeah, countersunk screws or bolts or something. Because these details are so small, if you try to actually put anything in them, you wouldn't be able to see it. But if you got this thing in person, that looks like that's where you've got a bolt that's either flush or actually internal to the thing. So that's my kind of philosophy for like how I would go about detailing a model. So I hope you found this interesting, and thank you for watching.